What happens to your mental health when you play 30 minutes of badminton every day? Imagine this. You walk into a badminton court tired, tense, distracted, and mentally overloaded. Your brain is still carrying the noise of the day. Messages you did not answer, problems you could not solve, conversations you keep replaying in your head. Deadlines, stress, worries, maybe even that strange emotional heaviness that you cannot fully explain. Then the shuttle flies toward you, and for a split second, your mind has no space for anything else. You move, you react, you hit, you adjust your feet, you breathe differently, you focus, and without realizing it, your brain begins to change state. That is the hidden power of badminton. Most people think of badminton as a light sport, something casual, something you play at the park, in school, or on vacation. But when you play it seriously, even for just 30 minutes a day, badminton becomes something much more interesting. It becomes a form of moving meditation. It becomes stress release. It becomes emotional regulation. It becomes social connection. It becomes cognitive training. And for many people, it can become one of the simplest daily habits for protecting mental health. This does not mean badminton is a magic cure. It does not replace therapy. It does not replace medical treatment. It does not erase trauma, anxiety, depression, or burnout overnight, but it can become a powerful support system for your brain. And the reason is simple. Badminton does not only train your body, it trains your nervous system. When you play badminton for 30 minutes, your brain is forced to leave the abstract world of worry and return to the physical world of movement. Anxiety often lives in the future. Depression often pulls the mind into the past. But a fast-moving shuttlecock forces you into the present. You cannot properly play badminton while completely lost in your thoughts. You cannot return a shot while mentally arguing with someone from yesterday. You cannot smash, defend, step, balance, and react while being fully absorbed in worry. The game pulls your attention back into the now, and that matters more than people realize. One of the most painful parts of modern life is that our minds are constantly somewhere else. We eat while thinking about work. We work while thinking about relationships. We rest while scrolling through problems from other people's lives. We lie in bed while mentally preparing for tomorrow. The body is here, but the mind is everywhere. Badminton reunites them. For 30 minutes, your body and mind have to cooperate. Your eyes track the shuttle. Your legs position your body. Your hand adjusts the racket. Your brain calculates speed, distance, angle, timing, and intention. This is not passive movement. This is active attention. And active attention is one of the reasons sports can feel so mentally refreshing. You are not just burning calories. You are giving your brain a break from rumination. Rumination is when the mind loops around the same thoughts again and again. Why did they say that? What if this goes wrong? Why am I like this? What will happen next? Did I make a mistake? The problem with rumination is that it feels like problem solving, but often it is just mental repetition. Badminton interrupts that loop. The shuttle does not care about your worries. It is coming anyway. And you have to respond. This immediate demand for action can pull the brain out of repetitive thought patterns and into real-time awareness. That is one of the first mental health effects of playing badminton daily. It creates a clean break in the mental loop. But there is more. Exercise changes your emotional state through the body. After several minutes of movement, your heart rate rises, your breathing deepens, blood flow increases, your muscles warm up, your brain receives different chemical signals than it did when you were sitting still. For many people, this creates a shift in mood, not always dramatic, not always instant, but noticeable. You may enter the court irritated and leave calmer. You may start heavy and leave lighter. You may begin with anxiety and leave with a sense of control. This is partly because physical movement gives stress somewhere to go. Stress is not just a thought. Stress is physical. It lives in tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, shallow breathing, a fast pulse, restless legs, and a nervous system that feels unsafe even when there is no immediate danger. If you do nothing with that energy, it stays trapped in the system. Badminton gives it a direction. You chase, you swing, you jump, you recover, you sweat, you release. Instead of stress turning inward as overthinking, it is expressed outward as movement. That can be incredibly healthy, especially because badminton has rhythm. Serve, return, move, recover, again. This rhythm can regulate the nervous system. The mind likes rhythm because rhythm creates predictability, and predictability creates safety. In a chaotic life, even 30 minutes of structured movement can tell the brain, there is order here. The court has lines. The game has rules. The rally has a beginning and an end. The body knows what to do. For an anxious brain, that can feel deeply stabilizing. Now think about the nature of badminton itself. It is fast, but not random. It is strategic, but not purely intellectual. It is physical, but not only about strength. This combination makes it special for mental health. When you play badminton, you are constantly making micro decisions. Should I move forward or back? Should I clear, drop, drive, or smash? Is my opponent tired? Are they expecting power or softness? Can I reach that shot? Should I take a risk? In other words, badminton trains flexible thinking, and flexible thinking is a major part of psychological resilience. Many mental struggles become worse when thinking becomes rigid. An anxious mind says, something bad will happen. A depressed mind says, nothing will change. A stressed mind says, I cannot handle this. A shame-based mind says, I always fail. But badminton teaches the brain something different. Adapt. Read the situation. Recover quickly. Try another angle. Lose 1 point. Play the next. This matters because the game constantly gives you small failures. You miss a shot. You misjudge distance. You react too slowly. You hit the net. You lose a rally. But then the game continues. This is emotional training. Badminton teaches you to fail and reset. In life, many people carry small failures for hours, days, or years. One mistake becomes an identity. One rejection becomes a story. One bad moment becomes proof that everything is wrong. But on the court, you cannot afford that. If you keep thinking about the last mistake, you will miss the next shot. So the sport trains a psychological skill that is extremely valuable. Let go fast. Not because the mistake did not happen, but because the next moment needs you. That is mental resilience in motion. 30 minutes a day of this can slowly change how you relate to mistakes. You begin to understand that failure is not final. It is feedback. You missed the shot because your footwork was late. You lost the point because your position was wrong. You panicked because you were unprepared. Fine. Adjust. Try again. This is exactly the mindset many people need outside the court. Badminton also improves confidence in a very specific way. Not fake confidence. Not motivational quote confidence. Real confidence, the kind that comes from evidence. Every day you show up, your brain receives a message. I can do hard things. Every time your stamina improves, your brain receives another message. I am not stuck. Every time your reflexes get sharper, another message. I can improve. Every time you win a rally that you would have lost 2 weeks ago, effort changes outcomes. That is powerful because many people with low mood or anxiety feel helpless. They feel like their internal state controls them completely. They wait to feel better before they act. But badminton reverses the order. You act first, then the feeling changes. This is one of the most important lessons in behavioral psychology. You do not always need to feel motivated before you move. Sometimes movement predates motivation. Sometimes action comes before confidence. Sometimes energy appears after you start, not before. That is why a daily 30-minute badminton routine can be so effective. It gives you a predictable structure that does not depend entirely on mood. You may not feel like playing, but you go anyway. You may not feel strong, but you warm up. You may not feel focused, but after 5 minutes, the game pulls you in. And by the end, your emotional state may be different. Not perfect, but different. That difference matters. Now let's talk about anxiety. Badminton can help anxiety in several ways. First, it uses up physical arousal. Anxiety often creates energy in the body. Tension, restlessness, nervous breathing, a racing heart. When you sit still with that energy, it can feel like danger. But when you move intensely, those same sensations become normal. A fast heartbeat during panic feels frightening. A fast heartbeat during badminton feels expected. Sweating during anxiety feels uncomfortable. Sweating during sport feels natural. Breathing harder during anxiety can feel like losing control. Breathing harder during exercise feels like effort. This can teach your brain that physical activation is not always dangerous. Second, badminton trains attention away from internal monitoring. Anxious people often scan their own body and mind. Is my heart okay? Am I breathing normally? Do I feel strange? What if I panic? What if people notice? Badminton redirects attention outward. Where is the shuttle? Where is my opponent? Where is the space? What shot is coming? This outward focus can reduce the intensity of self-monitoring. Third, badminton gives the brain a controlled challenge. Anxiety grows when the brain avoids discomfort, but badminton gives manageable discomfort. Running, missing, reacting, competing, being watched, getting tired, losing points. And because the discomfort is inside a game, it becomes easier to tolerate. Over time, the brain learns. I can handle activation. I can handle uncertainty. I can handle mistakes. I can handle being under pressure. That is emotional exposure, but in a playful form. Now let's talk about depression. When someone is depressed, the brain often loses access to pleasure, motivation, and hope. The body feels heavy. Small tasks feel enormous. Social contact feels exhausting. The future feels flat. Badminton will not solve all of that, but it can push against some of depression's strongest mechanisms. Depression wants stillness. Badminton creates movement. Depression wants isolation. Badminton often creates contact. Depression wants withdrawal. Badminton creates participation. Depression wants the mind to loop. Badminton forces response. Even the structure of a game can be useful. It gives the day a small anchor. At 6 p.m., I play. At 6 p.m., I leave the house. At 6 p.m., I meet someone. At 6 p.m., I move my body. This kind of routine can become a stabilizing force. And for mental health, consistency often matters more than intensity. 30 minutes every day is not extreme. It is realistic. It is repeatable. It is enough to create momentum without becoming another source of pressure. That is important, because when people try to improve their lives, they often choose routines that are too intense. They decide to train for 2 hours, change their diet completely, sleep perfectly, meditate daily, and become a new person by Monday. Then they fail. Then they feel worse. Badminton for 30 minutes a day is different. It is specific. It is simple. It is measurable. And it is enjoyable enough to continue. Enjoyment matters. The best mental health habit is not always the most scientifically optimized habit. It is the one you will actually repeat. Badminton has an advantage because it feels like play. And adults do not play enough. We perform. We work. We optimize. We manage. We consume. But play is different. Play gives the brain permission to experiment without everything being life or death. Play creates joy without needing a major achievement. Play reconnects us with spontaneity. A badminton rally can make you laugh. You miss an easy shot. You hit the shuttle in a ridiculous way. You celebrate a point you had no business winning. You become competitive for no real reason. You forget briefly to be your serious adult self. That is healthy, not childish. Healthy. The human brain needs play. And for people who are emotionally exhausted, play can reopen parts of the personality that stress has shut down. Another major benefit is social connection. Badminton can be played alone as training, but it is usually played with someone else. That means eye contact, cooperation, competition, humor, rhythm, shared effort, and small conversations. These things sound ordinary, but they are psychologically powerful. Loneliness is not only the absence of people, it is the absence of meaningful, repeated, low-pressure connection. Badminton can create exactly that. You do not need to have deep emotional conversations every day. You do not need to explain your entire life. You just meet, play, laugh, sweat, improve, and come back. This kind of low-pressure social contact can be extremely valuable for people who feel isolated. It builds belonging through repetition. Same place, same time, same people, same activity. Over time, this becomes part of identity. I am someone who plays. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who belongs somewhere. That identity shift can support mental health, because mental health is not only about reducing symptoms, it is also about building a life that pulls you towards stability. Badminton can also improve sleep, not by forcing it, but by helping the body use energy during the day. Many people are mentally exhausted but physically underused. Their brain is tired, but their body has not moved enough. So at night, the mind keeps spinning while the body does not fully settle. A 30-minute badminton session can help restore the natural relationship between effort and rest. You spend energy. You create physical fatigue. You reduce nervous tension. You give the body a reason to recover. And when sleep improves, mental health often improves with it. Poor sleep makes anxiety louder. Poor sleep makes emotions harder to regulate. Poor sleep makes small problems feel bigger. Better sleep does not fix everything, but it raises your psychological baseline. And that is the key word. Baseline. Daily badminton can raise your baseline, not by making every day amazing, but by making your average day slightly better. A little less tension, a little more energy, a little more confidence, a little more focus, a little better sleep, a little more social contact, a little more emotional release. These small changes compound. After one day, you may simply feel refreshed. After 1 week, you may notice that your mood shifts faster after playing. After 1 month, your body may begin to expect the routine. After 3 months, badminton may become part of how you regulate yourself. Not something extra, something essential. Let's imagine what this looks like over time. In the first few days, the biggest change may be immediate stress relief. You leave the court feeling lighter than when you entered. Your body feels awake. Your mind feels quieter. After 1 or 2 weeks, you may notice better energy during the day. You may sleep a little better. You may feel slightly more patient. You may also notice that your mood is less stuck. After a month, the psychological benefits become more identity-based. You are not just someone trying to feel better. You are someone with a routine. Someone with discipline. Someone who plays a sport daily. Someone who is actively participating in their own mental health. After several months, the court can become a kind of emotional reset button. A bad day happens. You play. A stressful conversation happens. You play. You feel anxious. You play. You feel low. You play gently. The routine becomes a stabilizer. This is why the daily part matters. Playing badminton once can make you feel good. Playing badminton regularly can change your relationship with your own mind. But there is a warning here. More is not always better. If you play every day with obsession, injury, pressure, or self-punishment, the habit can become unhealthy. The goal is not to destroy your body. The goal is to support your mind. So 30 minutes should be adjusted to your level. Some days can be intense. Some days can be light. Some days can be technical practice. Some days can be easy rallies. The rule is not suffer every day. The rule is show up in a sustainable way. This is very important for mental health, because many people turn self-improvement into self-attack. They use exercise as punishment. They shame themselves for missing a day. They compare themselves to others. They turn a healing habit into another source of stress. Do not do that. Badminton should make your life more stable, not more rigid. If your body needs rest, rest. If you are injured, recover. If your mental health is very low, reduce the intensity and focus on simply showing up. The point is not perfection. The point is regulation. Now, what makes badminton different from just going to the gym? The gym can be great. Walking can be great. Running can be great. But badminton adds several mental layers at once. It is physical exercise. It is a reaction game. It is coordination training. It is social interaction. It is strategy. It is competition. It is play. It is focus. It is emotional reset. That combination makes it uniquely rich. A treadmill lets your mind wander. Badminton demands your mind return. Weightlifting builds strength. Badminton also builds anticipation, timing, and adaptability. A walk can calm the nervous system. Badminton can calm it through intensity, rhythm, and full attention. This does not mean badminton is better than every other activity. It means badminton gives the brain many forms of stimulation at once. And for mental health, that can be extremely useful. There is also something symbolic about badminton. The shuttle is light. It changes direction quickly. It can drop suddenly. It can float, accelerate, or deceive. In a strange way, it behaves like life. You think the shot is going one way, then it goes another. You think you are in control, then you have to recover. You think you lost the rally, then somehow you save it. You learn to stay ready, not tense. Ready. That is a beautiful psychological skill. Many people live either collapsed or overactivated. They are either drained and passive or tense and hypervigilant. Badminton teaches a middle state, alert but playful, focused but flexible, competitive but not panicked, engaged but not consumed. That state is close to what many people are missing. A regulated nervous system is not a system that never activates. It is a system that can activate and then recover. Badminton gives you repeated practice in that cycle. Start, react, stress, recover, reset, again. This is the rhythm of emotional resilience. Now let's make this practical. If someone wants to use badminton for mental health, they should not approach it like a professional athlete at first. Approach it like a daily mental hygiene habit, like brushing your teeth for your nervous system. Start with 30 minutes, 5 minutes of warm-up, 20 minutes of rallies, drills or match play, 5 minutes of cool down. During the warm-up, let your brain arrive. During play, focus fully on the shuttle. During cool down, notice the difference in your body. Ask yourself, how did I feel before? How do I feel now? What changed? This simple awareness strengthens the connection between movement and emotional regulation, and that connection helps you repeat the habit, because the brain repeats what it values. If you only measure badminton by weight loss or performance, you may lose motivation. But if you measure it by mental clarity, mood, energy, and emotional release, it becomes much more meaningful. You are not just playing to win. You are playing to come back to yourself. That is the real benefit. Badminton can also teach boundaries. On the court, you learn what is yours to control and what is not. You cannot control every shot from your opponent. You cannot control every mistake. You cannot control whether you win every rally. But you can control your preparation, your footwork, your attention, your effort, your recovery, your attitude. This is exactly the same in life. Mental suffering often increases when we try to control what is not ours. Other people's emotions, other people's approval, the future, the past, every possible outcome. Badminton gives you physical practice in controlling your side of the court. That lesson transfers. Your side of the court is your responsibility. Their side is not. For anxious people, this can be deeply freeing. For people in toxic relationships, it can be clarifying. For people under stress, it can be grounding. Control your position. Read what is coming. Respond. Recover. Do not live on the other person's side of the net. That is not just a sports lesson. That is a mental health lesson. There is one more underrated benefit. Self-respect. Self-respect grows when you keep promises to yourself. Not huge promises. Small, repeated promises. I will move today. I will play for 30 minutes. I will take care of my mind. I will not abandon myself completely to stress, screens, or other people's expectations. Every time you keep that promise, something inside you becomes more solid. You may not notice it immediately, but over time, your inner dialogue changes. You stop seeing yourself only as someone who is tired, anxious, distracted, or stuck. You start seeing yourself as someone who acts, someone who participates, someone who trains, someone who can improve. And that matters, because mental health is not only chemistry, it is also identity. It is the story you live inside. Badminton gives you a better story, not a fantasy, a lived story. I showed up, I moved, I got better, I handled discomfort, I connected with others, I left the court better than I arrived. Repeat that enough times, and it becomes part of who you are. Now, does this mean everyone should play badminton every day? No, some people need medical support. Some people need therapy. Some people need rest. Some people have injuries or conditions that require caution. Some people may prefer walking, swimming, dancing, martial arts, or another sport. The point is not that badminton is the only answer. The point is that a 30-minute daily sport that combines movement, focus, play, and social connection can have a serious impact on mental health. And badminton is one of the best examples, because it is accessible, it is engaging, it is strategic, it is social, it can be light or intense, and it gives your brain exactly what modern life often takes away: presence, movement, connection, rhythm, challenge, recovery. So if you are mentally overwhelmed, do not underestimate the simple act of picking up a racket. You may think you are just hitting a shuttle, but you are also training attention. You are regulating stress. You are interrupting rumination. You are rebuilding confidence. You are practicing resilience. You are creating social contact. You are improving your relationship with your own body. And maybe most importantly, you are proving to your brain that change is still possible. 30 minutes a day may not sound like much, but done consistently, it can become a daily vote for the kind of mind you want to live with. A mind that is calmer, sharper, more flexible, more confident, less trapped in loops, more connected to the present. Badminton will not make life perfect, but it can help make your mind a better place to live. And sometimes, that is where healing begins. If this gave you something to think about, subscribe to *** Psychology with Sergiu Popovici ***, because your mind is shaped by what you do every day. And we are just getting started.